This is Phrolova, a 5-star Havoc Rectifier Resonator coming in 2.5 who doesn't just fight, she literally performs. With her puppet Hecate, an arsenal of volatile notes, and the power to command chaos from both on and off the field, Phrolova might just be one of the most unique characters we've seen in Wuthering Waves yet. But beneath her elegance lies a layer of complexity. How do her echo mechanics really work? What role does she fill on a team? And more importantly, does her power actually match her presence? Today, we're going to deep dive into Phrolova's kit, her synergies, ideal builds, and what kind of value she brings to your account, whether you're a theory crafter or just someone looking to beat the Tower of Adversity in the next patch. So let's break down the Conductor of Calamity and find out if her song is one worth pulling for. This is all very early, guys, and of course it's subject to change. It probably will change. Maybe I'm dumb for making this video, but let's dive into her kit and how she actually functions in combat right now, because her kit is more than just flashy effects. It's actually very layered, calculated, and absolutely devastating when played right, or so it seems. So Phrolova's basic attack is a 3-hit chain, and while that may look kind of simple, it's actually kind of the foundation of her entire kit, and it leads into her forte gauge. So after you cast the 3rd hit of your basic attack chain, you actually generate a note, and then you get access to an enhanced basic attack or an enhanced resonance skill. So after you cast that 4th basic attack or that resonance skill after the basic attack chain, you generate what's called a volatile note. And these volatile notes are a special kind of resource that determines how her puppet, Hecate or Hecate, I don't know how to say it, let me know in the comments, how he'll behave later on. And this is going to make sense, guys, in a second. But each note you can think of corresponding to a different performance style, and you can think of this as a cue that kind of guides the rest of her rotation. So once you've collected 6 of these volatile notes, Phrolova then can use her heavy attack called Scarlet Coda. So this is kind of like the activation of her forte gauge, you could think of. It consumes all of the notes that you have, dealing massive AoE havoc damage, and then entering you into a state called the Resolving Chord state. So in the Resolving Chord state, you can't generate any more volatile notes, but what you can do, guys, is you get access to the Maestro state, which you activate using your Resonance Liberation, finally. But before we talk about her Resonance Liberation, because it's kind of the meat and potatoes of her kit and where kind of the more interesting things start happening, I want to talk about her Resonance skill, which just does a little bit of havoc damage. But the interesting part about this, from my understanding, is that when you use it by itself and you don't use it in its enhanced state, like after a basic attack chain that we talked about earlier, it can kind of skip you into like that 3rd basic attack state, where then you can follow it up with either another enhanced skill or a basic attack to then generate a certain type of volatile note that you want. So it's kind of a way for you to quickly build up your forte gauge. So now let's talk about her Resonance Liberation, which is the centerpiece of her kit and where Phrolova transforms from a stylish caster into a full-on battlefield conductor. So when you activate the Resonance Liberation, she hops up in the air and enters what's called the Maestro state, where she summons her puppet to join the fight. But the cool thing is that her puppet Hecate doesn't just auto-attack, she actually reacts to whatever you do. So your basic attacks, enhanced skills, and even dodges cue Hecate to perform additional strikes that are each based on the types of notes that you consumed when you used your forte gauge, the Scarlet Coda. So she becomes a puppet master of the truest sense, where you actually control the puppet while you're up on your little moon thingy, and it does echo damage from every move that Hecate does, both on-field and off-field. So you can actually switch off-field onto like Cantarella, for example, because Cantarella is going to work really well with her, and Hecate will still be on-field doing its thing, and you can be DPSing on other characters as well. So really a cool way for her to do off-field damage and kind of be like a main DPS off-field is how I'd put it. So if you're interested in the different types of attacks that Hecate can do a normal basic attack, Hecate can do an attack that briefly staggers enemies. Hecate can do an enhanced attack that happens every 3 normal attacks that Hecate does. I believe on the 3rd one, Hecate will do an enhanced attack. And there's something unique about this that I'll tell you in a second. There's also a version where Hecate can slightly pull in enemies. And then there's also a version that she both staggers and slightly pulls in enemies. So why this is interesting, guys, and why the enhanced basic attack is so interesting, because when Phrolova's off-field just conducting Hecate, every time that your other resonators cast an echo skill, Hecate will automatically do the enhanced basic attack. So this is another reason why she synergizes so well with a character like Cantarella and a character like Rochia, because Cantarella's Resonance Liberation counts as echo damage, so it'll count for the, or it should count, I think, for the enhanced attack of Hecate. And then Rochia, when she does her outro skill, she gives you that one-time use echo skill that pulls everything in. So how it works, I believe, is that you can only use one echo, like, of its name for the enhanced skill, right? But if you have Cantarella and you have Rochia, you might be able to cheat quite a few more of Hecate's enhanced basic attacks. So it's a little bit confusing right now, so please bear with me, guys, as we try to understand this kit together. Remember, like I said earlier, this is like really early, but Phrolova's intro skill, from my understanding, what it does is that it generates, or allows her to generate, one unique volatile note, that when Hecate reads that volatile note, that's how he does the most enhanced version of his basic attack, where it does extra stagger damage and pulls enemies in. So you get one of those per intro skill cast, and then her outro skill amplifies Havoc damage by 20% and heavy attack damage by 25% for the next incoming Resonator for 14 seconds, or until that Resonator is swapped out. So what that tells us, guys, is that the core team of Rochia, Cantarella, and now Phrolova is finally complete. So from what it seems like, because look, Rochia is a heavy attack damage dealing Havoc character, Cantarella is a basic attack dealing Havoc character, and then Phrolova is primarily a resonant skill dealing Havoc character. So Rochia buffs basic attack damage, Cantarella buffs skill damage, and then Phrolova loops back to Rochia and buffs Havoc heavy attack damage. So you're just going to want to cycle through those three characters like that and constantly do their rotations, and thankfully at least Rochia and Cantarella's rotations are pretty quick. So that's of course the team that you're going to want to be using Phrolova with, although whoever can benefit from heavy attack damage can also benefit a little bit from her outro skill. So characters, I guess, like Gian, it's jank, guys. We know who she's made for, but like if your character uses heavy attack damage, it's technically something that you can still benefit from. So now let's go over a really preliminary standard building guide for Phrolova. She is an attack scaling crit DPS, as is Cantarella, for example. And we'll start off with her weapon options. So her signature weapon, I believe it gives her crit rate as the main stat, as well as echo skill damage and resonant skill damage and some attack as well. So she does primarily deal resonant skill damage as well as echo skill damage, so anything that benefits that is something that she's really going to like. So, for example, guys, the good old classic String Master I think is going to be an amazing option for her if you already have it. It does give that 12% attribute damage bonus as well as resonant skill damage, which Phrolova is going to eat up. And it gives her a lot of attack, and it actually even increases her attack when she's off field, which, of course, as we talked about, Phrolova is going to be able to take full advantage of. So I think if you have String Master, you may actually be able to even skip her signature, although, of course, your signature is going to be tailor-made for her and give her all the stats that she's going to want. So apart from that, I do think that any 5-star rectifier, except for maybe Shorekeeper's Rectifier, will be usable as a stat stick, although I would recommend using String Master. Now, as for free-to-play or low spender options, Cosmic Ripples I'm sure is going to work as well. It's just going to be a stat stick for attack. She doesn't really benefit from the basic attack damage from it, and I actually am not even sure if she benefits at all from energy regen, because I think that her ult is gated by her state that she gets by using her Forte gauge. I forgot the name of it already. I do think that she could also use the Battle Pass weapon. Which one is it? I think that she will be able to use the Augment. Again, it's not going to be the best thing for her, but, you know, it is an attack stat stick for her, and it does give her a bit of crit rate. I would recommend, though, if you have String Master, to just use that and not even think about it further. So then we're going to talk a little bit about her echoes. So I heard in a little dream of mine that Phrolova is going to be getting a new signature echo set that, for the first time ever, is going to have a 3-set bonus instead of a 5-set bonus. So what that means is that you're going to want to be using that as your main 3 echoes, so your 4-cost echo and your 2 3-cost echoes, or I guess you can use them as your 1-cost echoes. And then for the 2-piece remaining echoes, you want to use either 2-piece Havoc Eclipse or 2-piece of the old Havoc set. What's it called? 2-piece, or the new one, Midnight Veil, just for that 10% extra Havoc percent damage bonus. And as for the main 4-star echo or 4-cost echo, we don't know yet. There isn't one that perfectly fits here because all of the current ones don't give a resonant skill damage bonus, but I would just wait, guys. They tend to release a 4-cost echo tailor-made for the new character on the patch of their release, so I would wait until that comes out, guys, because I'm pretty sure that they're going to be releasing one perfectly for her when that hits. When it comes to her teammate options, Phrolova is going to really want both Rochia and Cantarella. These are who she's made for, and this is going to be her best team comp by far. Cantarella and Rochia are the only 2 Resonators in the game right now who have special interactions with echo skills, which Phrolova and her Hecate puppet are going to take full advantage of. However, if you don't have Rochia, I do think that you can replace her with Sanhua and probably be fine, because she does also buff basic attack damage, which Cantarella can take advantage of. However, if you don't have Cantarella, I think that's when things become a little bit more tricky. I do think that you can use Phrolova alongside a character like Gian, for example. It's probably going to be worse than using either Chiakona or Mortifi. However, he is a heavy attack scaling DPS, and Phrolova does provide a heavy attack amplification on her outro skill. Other characters that I think are kind of notable with her are any sort of character that buffs resonant skill damage in their outro skill. So think of characters like Jeji. I think Jeji might be a decent replacement, maybe, to Cantarella, just because she also provides a resonant skill buff. However, really, guys, you're gonna want Cantarella and you're gonna want Rochia. So if you don't have that, though, guys, it's not, I don't think, as bad as like Zanny without Phoebe, for example, but you're not going to take full advantage of her kit otherwise. And that wraps up our dive into Phrolova, the conductor of chaos herself. If you enjoyed the breakdown, consider giving this video a thumbs up because it's the easiest way to tell the algorithm, encore. And if you want more content like this or just want to see me slowly get possessed by echo mechanics, make sure to subscribe to this channel as well. This was actually my first time ever making a sort of guide like this. I know it's just a preliminary guide, but we don't really have a lot of information on Phrolova's kit just yet, and things always change in the beta, so I don't want to say anything further. But I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts regardless, so make sure you drop a comment down below, even if it's just to tell me what you think or how excited you are about Phrolova, or maybe I missed something. But regardless, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video.